What's the dumbest idea you had that actually worked too well? I was bombing chemistry so hard my teacher stopped putting grades on my tests and just started drawing sad faces. Not joking. A little frowny face in red ink like she was grieving my academic future. The final was worth 40% of my grade, and it was in 3 days. If I failed, I wouldn't graduate. Not, I'll be in trouble, wouldn't graduate. Walk across the stage with everyone. My parents had already bought dinner reservations for after the ceremony. My mom had a new outfit. There was no version of this where I could say, actually, I need to do summer school and survive. So I'm spiraling at 1 a.m., staring at my textbook like it's written in ancient Greek. And my older sister Maya walks in, sees me surrounded by crumpled papers, and goes, "You look like a conspiracy theorist." I said, "I basically am one at this point." She goes, "Just teach it to someone. You only really learn something when you have to explain it." Then she left, didn't elaborate, just dropped that and walked away like a prophet. That's when the idea hit. I was going to teach my entire chemistry final to the single worst student I had access to, my 7-year-old brother, Eli. I woke him up the next morning and said, "Congratulations, you're learning chemistry today." He said, "I don't want to." I said, "Nobody does. Welcome to the club." I set up a whiteboard in the living room and started with the periodic table. I'm pointing at elements going, "This is hydrogen. It's the lightest element. It's basically the skinny kid of the atom world." Eli goes, "Like me?" I said, "Exactly like you. You are hydrogen." He was locked in after that. Every element got a character. Oxygen was the popular one because everything needs it. Iron was the tough kid. Helium was the funny one because it makes your voice weird. Eli started asking questions I didn't even expect. What happens if hydrogen and oxygen hang out? I said, "They make water." He gasped like I just revealed a plot twist in a movie. By day 2, my mom walked in, and Eli was pointing at the whiteboard screaming, "Sodium and chlorine make salt," like he just solved a murder. She looked at me and whispered, "What is happening in my house?" I said, "Education." The thing is, every time Eli didn't understand something, it forced me to actually understand it myself. I couldn't fake it because a 7-year-old will stare at you with zero mercy and go, "That doesn't make sense." He's brutally honest. I had to re-explain chemical bonds 4 times until I finally said, "It's like when you and your best friend hold hands. That's a bond. Sometimes you share and sometimes one kid just takes." He goes, "Like when Tyler stole my crayon?" I said, "Tyler broke a covalent bond." Yes. Exam day comes. I sit down and the test starts, and I can literally hear Eli's voice in my head going, "Sodium and chlorine make salt." Every question I'm picturing my little whiteboard lectures. The elements aren't just symbols anymore. They're characters in the story I built for a 7-year-old. I flew through that test, hands shaking a little but flying. Got it back 2 days later. B+. I went from drawing sad faces to a B+. My teacher actually pulled me aside and said, "What changed?" I said, "I started a chemistry school for my little brother." She stared at me for a long time and said, "That's the most ridiculous and effective thing a student has ever told me." Came home and Eli was waiting by the door. He goes, "Did we pass?" I said, "Yeah, buddy, we passed." He threw his arms up and yelled, "I knew sodium and chlorine would save us." My mom cried. I think mostly out of relief. Eli still talks about the periodic table. He told his 2nd grade teacher that helium is the class clown of the elements, and she emailed my mom concerned. He's fine. He's just chemically educated now.